Hello everyone. So before break we started on 1-to-1 scale grid transfers, and today we're going to start working on a 1-to-2, and if you have time, a 1.5 from a 1. So if you can see up here, these are very small squares, and at the bottom of our paper we actually have a larger grid. So they took these squares up here, and these little guys are basically like maybe 2 centimeters, and they duplicate it so that these are 4 centimeters. So if I go 2 times 4, or 2 times 2, we end up having 4. So that means that I have double the amount of space to take this information and make it bigger. This is what we're going to end up having to do for our final project, so I want to make sure that you guys are very comfortable with that. Also, as kind of a reminder to you guys, if you were the ones who decided that you took pictures over break, or if you had some already on your phone, I need you guys to send those to me today. My email is up on the board. Please make sure that you send those to me, and also put your name inside the subject of the email or something like that so that I can tell and I know exactly who to give it back to. If you do not have one, I actually have some pictures for you, but I do need you guys to be really comfortable with a 1-to-2 grid transfer, just because that is what our final project is going to be over. So we started with basic, now we're getting a little bit more complicated. So we are going to go start with our 1A, and we're going to start pulling in all of this information. For the most part, it's really simple, but if you guys get confused or lost, just remember that you guys can use the dividing technique. It reminds you over here that you can do that. So I'm going to chop this guy in half just to make sure that I keep everything in general in proportion. So because I did it up here, I need to do the exact same thing down here. So I'd chop it about in half, both ways, and then slowly but surely I start copying that information over. Now if you look in some of these areas, this is really complex. There's so much information in here. Like it recommends here, if it's really difficult, divide it again. So you can sit there and divide it again even smaller. That way you know exactly where everything goes. And if you don't need it, or if you're done with it, you just erase it out. So I'm going to start pulling in this information. So the beginning of his fur on the outer edge doesn't start in the middle. It's a little bit further over, closer to the middle. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Please don't worry about that. As long as it is very close, I'm going to count it. Because I'm not going to be able to do it perfect either. We're human beings, not copy machines. Okay, so that goes over into B, and I start about right here for that second layer where his stripes are. I have a little bit of negative space, and then the rest touches. So you guys are taking a small bit of information and making it bigger. So for our final projects with those landscapes, you're going to be doing the exact same thing. Okay, so I finished most of this. I have this little bit in the corner, and I'm either going to move over to B1 or A2. It is up to you guys what you guys want to keep going with. If you guys like to start in this corner, if you like getting the really simple ones out of the way, like C2 where you only have that little bit, or you can do B2 or anything like that, but just slowly but surely start copying this information over. Also, don't forget your name at the bottom. I really don't care if you fill in a group. So this is a 1-to-2, and I'm going to show you guys really quick what a 1.5 is. So like I said, I'm trying to prep you guys for my high school class. We had a lot of projects this time with 1.5s. So just to get you guys prepped and make sure that you're comfortable with the exact same thing, I'm exposing you guys to the same thing that we're working on this year. So this one you will have to label. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Same thing across here. So you notice that the squares here, there's not as big as a difference on the other page, and that's just because we're going on a 1.5. So if you were basically to take 1 and multiply it by 1.5, 1 doesn't change anything. If you multiply it by itself, it stays the same. But if you multiply it by 1.5, it gets slightly bigger. Just slightly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't foresee any of your guys' projects being a 1.5, but like I said, I'm just trying to keep you guys caught up with my other class, just so that you know the exact same thing whenever you start in that class as well. So I'm going to just to make sure I start it in the right area. Oh, it is very close to the middle. Okay. So to start, I typically just go along the edges. You don't have to go box by box. That's up to you if you want to. Once you guys have both of these worksheets done, I will, as long as you have your landscape, I will hand a grid paper to you, and I need you guys to put on a 1 centimeter grid, and I'll show you how to do that in the next video too. But with this 1 centimeter grid, that helps you transfer that information. So because it's 1 centimeter, on your final project, you guys are going to go to 2 centimeters. So that paper is going to get bigger. Your image is going to get bigger. Oh, that touches. I'm going to scoot that back. So that touches back right here. Pull it up and curve. Perfect. That's what I'm always double checking. Is this about halfway? Is it a little bit lower? I did it more or less correct. As long as I'm pretty close, that's what matters. This is about half. Okay. And I just keep checking myself. Am I doing this right? Do I need to double check anything? Do I need to move anything? And if I do, I just erase it and try it again. So if you guys have any questions, need any help, please, please, please call me over. I know this is a lot more difficult. It's like adding in another layer, but I know that you guys can do it. So I'd love to help you out if you need anything. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it.